Hello everyone, and today I'll be showing you how to use the animation events in Unity Engine. Animation events simply allow us to call specific functions using a specific timeline in the animation. Simply when our animation is playing, we want to call a specific function in our script. Here I'm going to make an example. Here we have our soldier here, which is going to be the test. I have an animator and an usher script. I already have this walking animation which was going to be tested. Now we go back to our script, which is, as you can see, it's still an empty script. So I'm going to write a function. Simply we make a function that make a log with test complete. We're going to assign a single timeline to make our event, which is going to be this frame. We need to add an event which is here. And as you can see, this is our animation event, and we can call the test function. Well, as you can see here, our animation is actually triggered. Each time our animation reaches that timeline, the animation gets triggered. As you can see, the debug.log is keep going and the function is getting called every time the animation reaches that specific timeline. An important thing that you need to know that the script holding the function that you want to call must be attached to the same game object that the animator is attached to. For example, if I remove our script from here and add it in some child game object, we go back to our animation, our event, and as you can see, function not supported, meaning our animation event no longer detect the function that we were assigned. But if we go back that again, and put it here again, go to the animation event, as you can see it's assigned properly. This is why you need to know that the script holding the function should be attached to the same game object that the animator is attached. Otherwise, our animation event will not detect the function. Another thing that is good to know that your function isn't necessarily to be public. It could be private as well. As you can see, even though my function is private, our animation event is still able to access it and call that function. Let's test it out. Yep, as you can see, our animation event working properly. Now, our animation event isn't necessarily to call a simple function, but yet we can add parameters to that function. As you can see now, I have multiple functions, one integer, the second is a string, the third is a float, the fourth is a double. Now here, we might have a problem. Even though this works perfectly, since each take different parameters, but our animation event does not detect them properly. Allow me to show you. Here we are in our animation event. We can see that our animation event only see one of the functions. This is because it doesn't support the same name function but with different parameters. We need to assign different name for each functions. As you can see here, our animations event detect the integer, string, and float, but it does not support the double, which is put us in conclusion that animation event doesn't support all parameters. Some parameters that are not supported in the animation event. Here I'm going to make a test for our integer. I'm going to pick a second keyframe, which is for our string, and another for our float. Let's test this out. Well, as you can see here, our debug.log is actually working, which means our animation is working perfectly fine. Now, as I mentioned here, our animation event did not detect the test double function. This is, as I said, animation event doesn't support all kind of parameters. Here I added two additional functions. One of them is a game object, the second is an audio clip. We go back to our animation event. We can see that it does support a game object and audio clip, which if you want to trigger an event that requires sound, for example, this walking animation actually does have like a step. So I can pick this step that actually make this reach the ground and play a specific audio clip, which is work perfectly fine if you have a walking animation and you want to play the sound accurate and perfectly in that animation timeline instead of playing it randomly while the character is moving. Now I'm going to put on screen what animation events support and what it does not. So when you want to use it and if you have anything in mind, you know what to do and how to use it. Alright? Simply as that, this is how the animation events work in Unity Engine. It is very simple, very easy, yet very powerful and can have very much benefits in your game. I hope you enjoyed this video and would like to see you next time.